Challenging the powers that be is newsworthy. Challenging the powers that be, the powers that do the wrongs, that do the wrongs, that commit the crimes, is the right thing to do. Challenging people, challenging business, challenging nations to do the right thing. It's a newsworthy thing to do. This is a fact of human life. This is the truth of human life. How can you keep governments, how can you keep nations honest if you don't challenge all their powers that be? There is no other way to do it. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to look for the hard answers. Now I know people think that life just goes by, but it doesn't. It has wrongs. It has wrongs all over the world. They need to be righted. Unless you challenge the powers that be, you can't do it. It's not newsworthy. You're not completing your task. You're not doing your job. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not talking like you're supposed to do. You gotta ask the hard questions. To get the answers, you gotta ask the hard questions. You gotta look for the human effects, the human care, the human freedoms, the human rights. You've gotta look at how these are affected by governments and nations and worlds and business and dictators and warlords and tribal leaders. If you don't do this, you get nowhere. If you don't do this, how do you challenge the powers that be? How do you find the answers, seek the solutions, seek the answers, seek the finalization of anything, from poverty to rape to torture to whatever it is? It's a simple news thing. It's a simple news thing to do. It's to ask the hard questions. And I do ask the hard questions. I ask why. I want to know why. I want to understand why. Because human life has human value, human care, human freedom. And if you don't fight for that, if you don't ask why something is done wrong, then you never get any answers. You never get any questions. You never get the interview. Challenging the powers that be is newsworthy. It's looking for the answers. It's looking for the truth. That's what reporters are supposed to do. That's what news people are supposed to do. Look for the truth. Look for the facts. Look for the reality. Look for what really happened. Look for the facts of human life. This is what I do. And apparently it bothers some people, and it doesn't bother others. But I'm not going to back away, and I'm not going to back down, and I'm not going to back off. Because challenging the powers that be is the only way to get the answers. It's the only way to get the solutions. It's the only way to get right the wrongs. You can't do any news story if you don't have both sides of the story. You can't find the solution if you don't have both sides of the story. If you don't get the answers, then you're not doing your job. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not informing the people. This is what I do. I inform the people of what's wrong, what's needed, what needs to be done, what needs to be changed. That's all I do. I'm not afraid of governments, not afraid of nations, not afraid of CIA, the NSA, or the FBI, because what I do is truthful, righteous, factual. I don't do news that isn't sourced. I don't do news that isn't right. I don't do news that isn't fact. And I tell it the way I believe it. I tell it the way it should be. I tell it the way it shouldn't be. It is. To tell the truth is the fact of news. You have to look. You have to look for the answers. You can't always find the answers in war, like poverty. You compare the military money to the poverty money. See what the vastness of difference is. That's what you do. It's how you do things that gets answers, that gets things done, that gets people food, that stops rape, that stops crime, that stops all this. When you do things in life, you have to do them the right way, the honorable way, the factual way. You have to do it in truth. You have to do it in reality. You have to do it in real time. You have to do it as a fact of human life. This is why I do what I do. This is why I say what I say. This is why I make the videos I make. And maybe I do make some money, too many to sometimes. But at least I'm out here on the front lines, fighting the battle for the right of human life and people to be newsworthy. I do these shows. I do these videos so that people are informed, so that people will reach out, so that human care is meant for all human life. and human needs are met for all human life. And human food is meant for all human life. And it's meant for all human beings. And this is the only way to find the answers, to find the solutions, to get people of view, to get people to tell the truth, to get people to get beyond the process to the actual act, to complete and do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. That's what a news reporter is for. News people work for the people. Work for the people. That's what I do. I work for the people. I work for the human race. I work for the human being. I work for the human race. I work for all people, all nations, all humanity. You can't just choose part of what you want to fight for. If you're going to fight, you got to fight for all people, for all nations, for all humanity, for all reality, for all human life. That's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. That's the reality of human life. This is why I do what I do. This is why I do what I do. And sure, some of the questions that I ask are hard-hitting, but you can't find answers if you don't ask the right questions. You have to ask the right questions. Otherwise, you get nowhere. You get no answers. And that's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. That's the reality of human life. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to blow smoke and mirrors at you. When I tell you the news, I'm going to tell it to you honestly, truthfully, factually, and from the human side, the human effects, the human carnage it causes. Because somebody has to. I'm not going to make a 50-minute, 50-second video that tells you that Ukraine is at war with people. Because people are dying, people are getting killed, people are suffering, people are getting carnage. That's the human fact. You ask the question, why? Why don't the pro-Russians move back to Russia if they want to move back to Russia and he can get out of the Ukraine? It's simple. Foreign diplomacy. News style. That's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. That's the reality of human life. You can't get an answer to a question without putting the questions forward. And this is what I do. This is why I do it. And this is why I continue to do what I do. I will continue to do what I do, as long as I can do it. Whether it be 1,050 videos or 20,050 videos. I will always ask, question, anything that is done on this earth that costs human life. Believe it. I will ask. I will ask governments. I will ask security agencies. I will ask anybody. Dictators, warlords, terrorists. Why? What? What do you gain from it? Some kind of power, some kind of delusion, some kind of illusion that your power of human life, that you get to judge life and death when you don't have the right to, when you don't have the human right to, when you don't even have the right to, when you don't even know these people, like the 270 girls that disappeared. Yes, why? Because of the terrorists. Why? For what? Because they wanted to get educated. Because they wanted to get educated. Are they ever going to get them back? Probably not. They'll either marry a rapist or they'll be killed. And that's the part of Islam I don't like. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that I'm going to quit saying it. Doesn't mean that I'm going to back down. Because personally, I believe in what I'm doing. And until people believe in that, nothing will ever change. And that's the truth of human life. That's a fact of human life. I just wanted people to understand my stance. As I hit the hard questions. I ask them and I put them out there and I pound just as hard as I can pound. Because life is that important. Life is that meaningful. It's time to stop the dying and start to live. That's the truth of human life. That's the fact of human life. That's the reality of human life. And this is what I do. This is what I will continue to do. As long as I can do it. This is a self-made human being. I just wanted people to understand that to get ahead, to get the answers, you have to challenge the powers that be. Otherwise, it's not newsworthy. It's not. saying, well, 200 people were killed today in Ukraine, and then say nothing else. Instead of saying, well, the human effects. Fathers and mothers lost their children. The human effects. The human life. The human truth. The human fact. The human reality. This is what I do. This is what I want to do. This is what I will continue to do for you and every other person on this earth. This is 7 billion human beings. Good night. Thank you for watching.